I think this is something very natural for human beings to understand everything intellectually, which means through the mind. When it comes to your spiritual journey, I think this is something which should be avoided because the mind, as we know, can always play tricks and can always make it difficult for you to understand things. Actually, we know that the spiritual things can never be understood through the mind. That's why we have the heart. That's why we work on the heart and we try to awaken the heart so that we can receive that knowledge through which we can understand these things. So if you bring in the mind in between, and if you try to understand that through the mind, obviously you are actually working to defeat the very purpose of doing the spiritual practices, because the mind will never be able to, you'll never be able to understand these things through the mind. And what you are going to do is basically create more confusion, only confusion, if you understand it, if you bring in mind or try to understand things intellectually. And so my advice is to just let the process work. So when you are doing spiritual practices, just allow the practices to work on you. Just be patient and not try to understand it through the mind, not bring in the mind. Just wait, because this is, as we always say, that this is a path which is totally experiential. So let the practices work, and let the practices help you get experiences and develop this understanding through the heart. Once your heart is awakened, and once you start receiving this knowledge, then you will start understanding everything. And all those people who are patient and who um, can wait to get answers to their questions through the heart, they start getting those answers. And after some time, there are no questions left, and everything is very clearly understood. That's the beauty of the heart, that when that understanding comes through the heart, it is absolutely pure, it is very clear, and you just don't need any further explanation. Whereas in the case of mind, um, it, um, it's not true, because we know that the mind is always influenced by the nerve. So the message from the mind is never pure. Um, I would also like to add here that reading literature is something which um, uh, most students, almost everyone wants to do. They are, because it's something which um, people grow with, reading, and they would like to read um, not only about the practices, about our order, but also in general about the spiritual path. So we advise the students, we even recommend certain books, but we also advise them not to read too much, and we also advise them not to read every book, because again, uh, if you haven't reached that level, there are certain books which may actually, instead of helping you, may actually create problems, because you won't understand, and then there would be confusion. So this is the reason why we stop students, or discourage them rather, to read too much, especially in the beginning. Once you have made progress, then it will be possible for you to understand books of advanced nature. But in the beginning, I think you have to focus on the practices. And anyway, most students find it difficult to find time to do their practices regularly. if you don't have time to, even for your practices, then how could you find time to read books? And even if you have extra time to read books, it would be better to do more of meditation rather than read books, because the meditation, as I explained earlier, will help you to develop heart and make this whole process faster, where you can start understanding things through the heart.